Hi, it's Brian Brown. I'm in San Jose, Costa Rica. We just got done with this great seminar on the family, the International Seminar on the Family here. It's been a great turnout, a great amount of excitement and leaders. And I'm here with one of the top leaders in Latin America, along with his wife, but right now we'll talk about him, and that's Sebastian Schuff. He's the president of the Global Center for Human Rights. They were a co-sponsor for this Costa Rican International Seminar on the Family. Sebastian, you're a good friend. I'm glad to finally have a chance to interview you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. So, can you talk briefly about the importance of this conference and the importance of Costa Rica in the battle to promote and protect the family and life around the world?
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. This conference the place was selected on purpose because Costa Rica is key from all the continent, especially it's the place where the Inter-American Court of Human Rights is based. Mm-hmm. And you know, through this court, the left is pushing an aggressive agenda against life, family, and religious freedom throughout all our continent, especially Latin American countries. That's the reason because we choose Costa Rica to give a message to the people, but to the judges and other international bodies.
It seemed like a lot of people came up to me and said, we really haven't had anything like this, and hearing what's happening around the world and what's coming here to Costa Rica and hearing what the Inter-American Court of Human Rights is doing, people seem pretty pumped up to get involved.
Yeah. Our first problem is that people don't know that have this problem. And we are telling the people that they have a problem that they didn't know that they have.
Right.
This is the first problem that we want to overcome. And that's one of the main reasons for this event and here to awake people, but in the right sense of awakeness.
Yeah, and it seemed like we had a good mix of, there were some business leaders, but there were a lot of just activists and also some religious leaders here. It seems like in Costa Rica, people are waking up to the reality that even though there's pro-life laws here in Costa Rica, that just because they've existed for a long time doesn't mean they're going to exist for forever. Yeah.
People is awakening, as I say, and as you said. I think the reason is like the left is very aggressive now. It's a bad thing, but on the other hand, it's useful to awake people that what's happening in the world. You know, when we were comfortable in the past, and okay, our culture is good, our religion is good, the good laws are going to last, and the reality is showing us that that's not the correct way. That's not the reality. What is happening now. It's the good side of the coin, that bad things are happening, but on the other hand, people are awakening.
You're blessed because you're able to work with your wife, and I think that Nady Casillas, your wife, was did she introduce us? Did I know her before I knew you?
I'm not sure. I think she knew you before, but someone introduced us in Washington.
But this is a real power couple because Nady has developed such close contacts all over Latin America.
Yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable. Whenever I want to meet with anyone, Nady already knows them. I mean, from the president of Guatemala all the way down in country after country, and that has to be very helpful when you're here dealing with the Inter-American Court. The fact that you both know so many people and are able to interact with so many people and get people to realize what's at stake.
Yeah, but we don't do only networking.
Right.
Like we try to put people in touch one with the other, and use the force of the people in benefit of the people, no? And we are connecting people at the most important level we can in order to defend our national laws.
Mm-hmm. Now here, it seems like through the work of both you and Fernando Milanese, who we had this great World Congress of Families in Mexico City, and Fernando and your group, everyone worked together to make this happen. But it seems like this isn't going to just be a conference and then we leave, that people are looking at taking action steps after this.
Yeah, the conference is like an excuse for I say it again, awake people and like light a fire, and the fire will multiply.
Right. So the most important effort I think that you're undertaking is something that we've tried to help in the little way that we can, and that is the No Next Row campaign, which is under the Global Center for Human Rights. The No Next Row campaign has to do with this case before the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which could be the next Roe versus Wade. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of the Beatriz case?
Yeah, of course. People think usually that international bodies has nothing to do with their lives and has no relation, but the reality is they are deciding now what kind of law they have in their countries and what things their kids read in the school and what are all the important things that define the culture in their countries, and they are very related to this. What we are doing is like raise awareness about what's happening. Why? Because people don't know that this is the Roe versus Wade of Latin America. You know, like if we miss the case, and if the case is missed, if we lose the case, 20 countries is going to fall. There are only 3 countries in Latin America that has abortion laws. It's Guyana, Uruguay, and Argentina. If the other side win the case, we are going to lose everything, because they will reinforce their laws in those 3 countries, and other 17 countries will fall, because what the resolution of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights in the practice are mandatory for all the countries.
So the key point here, though, is just like in 1973, what they've done is they've gotten one case, one individual, to try and make a claim that there is a international right to abortion, which we both know doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But we see every year that the United Nations and other international bodies are trying to push this idea that there is some mandatory international right to abortion. Now, the great thing about the Dobbs decision and overturning Roe versus Wade is that takes one block, one card out of the house of cards that they've created, because you can't say that the United States recognizes a right to abortion anymore. I mean, some states may try to move in a pro-abortion direction. We just saw, I think last night, yesterday, Ohio move in a bad direction. But that doesn't mean that there's an international right. So, but this case coming out of El Salvador is basically using one example to try and tear down the laws of all of these 20 countries. And I think people need to realize this is hundreds of millions of lives potentially at stake here. So can you talk a little bit about the specifics of the case itself?
Yeah, but I want to say something before. When we were celebrating Dobbs' decision, you know, abortion is an ideology, it's cultural, but also it's a business, you know. As abortion numbers are going down in the States, they are looking for new markets. And what are those new markets? It's Latin America, and that's one of the reasons, because they are putting a lot of money, a lot of attorneys, a lot of communication companies pushing this case. It's called the Beatriz case, because they want to open new markets and they have to change our national laws to do it.
And people have no idea. This case itself, if you just go randomly, even to pro-lifers in the United States, and say, what do you think about the Beatriz case? People will look at you perplexed. And yet, I think globally, this is the most important threat to life globally. And this idea that you're running out of markets, that as the market in the United States go down, it's just, I mean, I gotta say, it's demonic. I mean, the fact that you want to, in a time where you've seen declining fertility rates throughout Latin America, they want even less Costa Ricans, less El Salvadorians, less Argentinians. And so, again, I think it's important for people to understand the specifics of the case. If you
Yeah.
could just briefly lay
Yes,
out
of course.
what's happening at the Inter-American Court.
Yeah, the case is about a woman, a poor woman that was sick of lupus, and at the same time, her daughter was conceived, and she was diagnosed with a disability. Disability. And what's the problem? The other side went to took her and tell her, you are going to die if you don't ask the government to have an abortion. Even they didn't take her to our country and practice an abortion. They told her, you are going to die, and we have to use your case to go to the government and to go to the Inter-American Court to ask for an abortion. And that was the case, but it was founded in a lie. She didn't die, and her life wasn't threatened, and she was able at the end to deliver her daughter. She died some hours after because her disability, but this group found the perfect case because she died 4 years and 4 months later in a motorcycle accident. But they are...
Yeah, this is important for people to understand, because people are thinking earlier on you said she died shortly after, but she didn't die because of the
baby. The
baby died.
Yeah.
But the mother died 4 years later.
Yeah, 4 years later. Yeah. And but the other side say that she died because of the denial of an abortion. That it's madness, it has no relation.
It's not true.
It's not true.
But this is also similar to Roe. I mean, if you go back and look at the Roe case, a lot of things were presented to the public that weren't true. We've seen this in Doe. We've seen this repeatedly. And to be honest, even if some of the things were true, you don't kill a life. You don't terminate a life. You don't take a life. For a reason like this. Now, of course, there are other circumstances, but this is not a circumstance in which the mother died in childbirth or anything like that. And yet that's what it's presented as. And they're going to then use this case to basically say, just like what eventually happened in Roe, essentially all the barriers to abortion come down, because the health of the mother means psychological, it means everything else. So essentially, you have abortion on demand.
That's right.
Yeah. So what are you doing to stop it? I think it's important for people to know they can go to nonextroe.com to learn about what you're doing, but what are the major things that the Global Center for Human Rights and the No Next Roe campaign are trying to do?
Okay, we are raising awareness in all the countries, in all the 20 countries that are below the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, from Mexico to Argentina. We are presenting bills in different countries to protect themselves in the eventually that some bad thing happen in the resolution of the court. And we want to raise awareness in the political sphere and international arena that the court is not a dictatorship, that they could do whatever they want. They have to respect the law, respect not only national laws, but they have to respect international law. That we have I think the better convention, the better treaty of the world, the Inter-American Convention on Human Rights, is the only treaty that explicitly protects life since conception. And they have to respect this.
Yeah, the problem is, though, that obviously there's a massive push to deny that, just as we've seen at the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights coming in 1948. There's clear references to life. There's clear references to marriage as the natural and fundamental group unit of society. There's references in Article 16 that it's only between a man and a woman. And yet we see in international bodies what the text says and what they want to interpret the text to say are very different things. And I think that that's what concerns me most about Beatriz, is how far it's gone, how much the court seems to have granted some of the arguments being made by the other side, and how much it's basically stripping the sovereignty of, if it goes in this direction, it strips the sovereignty of each of the nation states in Latin America to make their own decisions for themselves. You have now a court that decides the most, and not even a national court, a supranational court that decides the most important questions of political life.
Yeah, that's the reason, because we are why we are encouraging lawmakers in all the 20 countries to stand up, because if the court is going to legislate instead them, what's their worth? They have to defend their position. You know, if they are the lawmakers elected by the people, the court has to respect the decision of the people. It's a democracy.
Well, what we really need, and what I've been trying to help with in any way I can, it's tough in the United States because often people in the U.S. really aren't looking outside of the United States to look at what's happening, and that's bad, because you know, we should care about the fact that we're going to have hundreds of millions of aborted babies in Latin America. That should move us to action. And I think that, you know, it's important that we support what you're doing, and that we support through donations and everything else, No Next Row. What do you most need in this No Next Row campaign?
Yeah, I want to say two things regarding this. First, a baby is a baby, independent that where it's conceived, wherever it's conceived. And second, we have to look what is the other side looking in our countries. You know, why the other side is putting a lot of money? Why they are the senators of representatives of the United States on the other side, you know, are supporting this case. Are coming to Costa Rica, are going to El Salvador to support the bad side, and why they are pushing a lot, and we are missing something. Like, I think it's a good question for Americans.
Well, we are. I mean, this is really a focus of my life now, and what we do at the International Organization for the Family is realizing that wherever we can save lives, wherever we can protect families, we need to be doing it. Any life saved is worth the effort that we can make. And I have to say that right now, I think that the amount of effort that would be required to raise awareness and stop this Beatriz case, and get countries to stand up and say, we're not going to give up our sovereignty. People, when they hear about this in every country I've been to in Latin America, they can't believe it's happening once they hear about it. And the amount of effort that it would take for Americans and others to band together and say, you know, we're going to stop George Soros and these other folks that are exporting these evils around the world, it wouldn't take that much money, effort, time, especially the fundraising, because we need to get people to understand what's at stake and help. It's tough, obviously, in Latin America to raise the money necessary to fight this. But it's an easy thing to do, you know, to make a donation and to know that it's going to something that's protecting life. And if we don't band together internationally, we're going to see Latin America fall, we're going to see Africa fall, and Western Europe. Right now, our greatest policy victories have been in Eastern Europe with you know, Hungary, with Italy, and we've had some good victories here. I mean, Guatemala, the pro-life capital of Latin America. But I'm very worried that we've taken for granted that there's a pro-life, pro-family culture in Latin America, and that it very quickly can change, just as we saw in Mexico. Yeah,
we need to support this. And regarding the case, I think everyone can do three things. Okay. First, support with prayer. Yeah. No, that's maybe the most important for some people, at least for me. Second, spread the word. You know, raise awareness about what's happening in Latin America. And third, support with monies, with donations. You know, because it's a very tough battle, and the other side is full of money.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the commercials, the digital advertisements that you've produced at Casa Beatriz are amazing, and we're getting those out on the No Next Row website, nonextrow.com. Go and check everything out. It's been great. God bless you for everything you're doing. I think my next interview is going to be with Nady.
Yeah.
But go to No Next Row, help out, stop the next Roe v. Wade from happening. God bless.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.